Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Home Staging Talk Show Live. I'm Jenny Norris, your host, and this show is brought to you by the International Association of Home Staging Professionals. So, hi, Karen. So, as you guys are coming on, I'm just going to kind of wait a little bit before I jump into the total content. Hi, Catherine. Hey, Teresa. So, we just came off of our big conference. And it was so fun to see so many of you there and give you hugs in person and, just experience what we did. So it was just really fabulous. I wanted to first start off with sort of a recap of what went on there. So I got there on Saturday and Sunday went down to, hi Edie, hi Mary Beth, went down to High Point, and Joseph Hecker had planned the HGTV Informal Stars reunion, which turned out to be really great. They had the red carpet, they had limos, and so Krista, Jessup, and I don't know if Krista's on yet, went zooming down the freeway because we didn't know we had to be there at 5:45. We thought we had to be there at 7 because we weren't really told in advance. So we threw ourselves together, we jammed down there, and it was held at a Theodore Alexander showroom was the preliminary, and they had food and drinks and so forth. And then we jumped into a limo and took us to the red carpet where they had red carpet interviews, which was fun, and we were joined by some of our colleagues. And so then we went into the Surya showroom where they had music and food and an open bar and so forth, and just crammed full of people because it's a great party. I feel like I'm out of focus. Hopefully I'm not out of focus for you guys. So anyway, it was like super fun, and so took lots of pictures. Then we drove back on Sunday after dinner, and then Monday got stuff ready for the conference and worked. And then Tuesday was the High Point wholesale experience that Krista coordinated with all of the vendors that we were going to have at our show, our conference, and very well orchestrated. I mean, set up the whole schedule and where people had to be, and I was sort of behind the scenes doing a lot of the paperwork, facilitation, interfacing with High Point to make sure that people knew where they had to be, and we had information on where the people had to get their passes and so forth. And so Sandra Holmes and Blair Hamady and Karen Mendenhall took people around, and Krista took people around to the showrooms, and the vendors were all super, super happy. Hopefully those of you that went on that learned a lot. First of all, it's a big place, and Vegas isn't quite as big, but you still need to have a lot of time. But now you know how to shop and the logistics and so forth. We're going to continue to set up relationships with vendors so that we have special arrangements for our members, which is what the goal is. And then Wednesday had more kind of conference prep, and then a special dinner. And then Thursday we all got up and got ready to get going in the ballroom for, hey Betty, for the conference. And so it takes a village. So all the volunteers that showed up and helped get set up, whether you're registration committee or decorations committee or setup, helping sponsors and so forth. I want to say thank you to all of you because there's no way that we could have pulled it off without your help. The Charlotte chapter, our chapter of the year, so exciting. You guys really came through helping us store boxes ahead of time, lots of boxes of things that were sent, and then bringing those over and helping get set up. And then the ballroom, slowly coming together, and it looked fabulous. It looked fabulous for the event. I was so pleased with how everything looked. Hope you guys were too. We had a dance floor, we had karaoke, we had a photo booth, music, so we just, in food and cash bars and so forth, so we just turned it into a big welcome party for everybody. And the registration committee, you guys did a stellar job getting everybody in and getting them all registered and so forth. So we kicked off the event on Thursday evening. And then Friday morning sessions started. Excuse me, I got a cold. Burning the midnight oil before I went, and then just got worn out. So I'm fighting this off now. But Friday was awesome. We kicked off with educational sessions and time for people to see the Scott brothers, which was amazing. So we had our breakout sessions as well. So all you breakout session speakers, we wanted to recognize you on stage on Saturday, but I know some of you had left, so we have some things for you. But they were all great. And then, of course, the Scott brothers Friday afternoon and early evening were amazing. So hopefully you all really enjoyed hearing what they had to say and getting your book signed. We whipped those people through the line as fast as we could. It's like a well-oiled machine. They had a whole schematic as far as where they wanted, one person to stand. You hand that person the book, and this person gets the cell phone, and that person takes the picture. Don't take anybody's purses. I got in trouble for that a little bit because people were handing me their stuff, and they're like, "It slows people down if you do that." So I'm like, "Okay." But anyhow, it was really fun. Hi, Maureen. Hey, Chris. And they did a great job. So we were so pleased to have them with us. Friday night went a little long, so we're going to already making some changes for next year. For example, we're not going to do a live auction on any of the nights. We're actually going to interweave it through the sessions like we did on Saturday. That seemed to work really well. And so that's kind of going to be the plan, because even though that's an important part of what we do, we raised a lot of money for the foundation. So thank you, everybody who contributed. Thank you, everybody who donated. And also those of you that purchased the prizes. And some of us, we still have to get things settled up. But we raised a lot of money for the foundation, which I'm really happy about. And then the awards dinner was really fabulous. So the awards, we recognized people in the vacant category, occupied categories, top individual, top team, top chapter, the rising star, and gave Barb the Founders Award, because she's the founder of the industry and the association. So she got a special Founders Award that nobody will ever receive outside of her. And then our Barb Schwartz Staging Award of Excellence, of course, went to Blair Hamity, very deserving. Top vacant. I just want you guys all to know there was a lot of winners per category, but there were a lot of submissions. And so not everybody who submitted won. I'm sharing this because I heard that feedback that, gosh, this doesn't mean anything because there's too many winners. And first of all, staging is subjective. So how am I or the committee allowed to just pick one winner? That really wouldn't be fair to everybody who does beautiful work around the world. And so the vacant category, for example, had more than 80 submissions. And there were 30 winners, and everybody who won deserved to win. So I hope you guys don't feel that way, that with a lot of winners, it gets watered down, because recognition is important, and we want to honor those that are in that category. My feeling is if we only had a handful of people that would win in these categories, it could be the same people every year. What fun is that? Let's say you're a new person and you do great work, but maybe you don't have $1 million inventory, and you don't have a big warehouse, you don't have some of these things. Does that mean you don't get to be recognized? So my philosophy is that recognize people in their particular categories and so forth. And I was really happy to be able to do that. So the occupied category, again, not everybody won. We want to recognize people that do stellar work in that category. So those of you that were recognized, please receive the awards in the spirit they're given, that they are deserving. We were so happy to be able to award those to you, and top teams and so forth, and top individuals and top occupied. So we're so happy for the Charlotte chapter, and that was based on votes, everybody. I didn't get to announce that from stage. It was very close between several chapters. It just so happened they were also a host chapter, so it was kind of fitting that they did win that, but it was based on votes. And all I can say is, for those of you who maybe didn't get recognized or get an award, please make sure to look for the information on how to submit your information next year. So we have the Home Staging Industry Awards. It'll be next summer. That is different than the IHOS Staging Industry Awards, which is recognized at conference. Okay, so there's two different things that we're doing now. One is recognition in 3 different categories, and one is an award for winning for your work, whether it's vacant, occupied, top team, top individual. So, and then the Rising Star, we had 4 runner-ups, all these ladies that do fabulous work. They're going to be, I know they're going to make a big impact as they continue on their teams or in their own businesses. And then, of course, Joseph Sipp, our 18-year-old from Orlando, Florida, was the Rising Star. I don't think that was a big surprise to most people. And it was really great to have him at the conference. You know, staging attracts people from all walks of life, and now very much all different age groups. So I was really pleased to have him there to receive that. And then, of course, hey, Joseph. And then, of course, the Barb Schwartz Staging Award of Excellence went to Blair Hamity, who's been in the industry for, I think it's 13 years now. And just a great example of what that award is about, which is excellence within the industry, whether it's your staging work, your business, but also mentoring other people and just leadership and so forth. So it was really an honor to be able to present that to him. And of course, Barb got her award. So Joseph Hecker was with us for the whole weekend. I hope he had a great time. We sure had a great time with the time I was able to be with him. Thank you, Joseph. It was awesome. It was amazing. Just everybody seemed like they were having a great time. And, I did a lot of running around. I wish I'd been able to take more pictures with people. So I'll have to make a point of that hopefully next time. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that people don't know have to go on in order to put an event like this on. But our goal was just to provide a wonderful experience for everybody where you could learn and grow and also get to know some people from other places. So I feel like you guys did a really good job with that. All the feedback that I'm receiving from attendees is how warm and welcoming everybody was. And even people that have attended corporate events said this was the best event they've ever been to, and not want more than, I had that feedback from more than one person. So that's really nice to hear. So everything from our AV to the stage setup, Karen Mendenhall provided. It was really, really great. All of our sponsors who sponsored us and came and supported our event, I think they were blown away. And I know Krista's already thinking about next year. And so all the volunteers that helped put it together. So just want to say thank you to everybody. Our whole leadership team really appreciates everything you did. We had people from out of the country, so all the Europeans that came, we appreciated you making the journey. And I know next year, 2019, we won't have a European conference. You're going to have more of us, more of you come over, because you're not going to want to miss out on attending an event. And of course, we announced where we're going for 2019. We're going country, right? We're going to Nashville. So I'm super excited about that. And we're already in the works as far as planning the venue. We know roughly the time of year and the dates. And just want to get the venue nailed down before we officially announce everything. So our staff did an amazing job. Lindsay says, yeehaw. Got to brush off our boots. Everybody contributed. So I just really wanted to say thank you. We couldn't have done it without you. So big appreciation for that. Joseph, I know you pulled off that big event in High Point, so I want to say thank you for doing that. And I know you have things in the works for Las Vegas in January, so I need to talk with you about that to kind of get coordinated with schedules, but it's going to be awesome. So hope you all had a great time. Send in any testimonials. I have not received the photos back from the professional photographer that was there, so those will all be made available to you. So all the pictures people took with the Scott brothers, where she took it with her camera, we'll definitely make those available to you. And they'll be put up on a drive. And then everybody's PowerPoint sessions and their the recorded talks and so forth, those will also be uploaded on the drive and made available to all the attendees. Pretty much anybody actually who bought a ticket is going to be able to see those, because I know there were quite a few people who were not able to come, and that's always sad. And, they had family emergencies and so forth. So I think it's fitting that they at least can see the information. Our luxury home staging designation was amazing. So thank you to Debbie Boggs and Karen Mendenhall and Blair Hamity and Sandra Holmes for their information they shared. And the goal of that, for those of you that I know hopefully will watch it back, was to understand how to market to that segment to get the business, then how to price a proposal. How do you price your services for that? What kind of inventory? How do you source the inventory that's going to go in that property? And then how do you present the property with the details and so forth? Those were kind of the 4 chunks that we wanted to present. And because there was some, confusion or disappointment with us saying you had to turn in 3 projects in order to get the logo and be fully certified, what I am going to do, and I was compiling the list of those of people that were in the actual session, you're actually going to get a logo. You will get the logo. You have the full designation because you have the knowledge. You're going to get a logo that says you're an LHS designated person. And then when I get your 3 projects, you're going to get another logo that says you're a certified LHS person, so luxury home specialist. So there will be 2 that you'll see. That's the best way to handle what occurred. And I promise that next time we will make sure to think about all the issues revolving around a designation or anything that we are teaching long before the event. So then we communicate it out to the public and to people that we're not making a change. Although we did announce it probably a month prior that this was going to be the way it was. So I want to apologize to those at the conference that were disappointed. I'm taking care of it. and you will get your logo, because I know a lot of you need to show that in order to get the business. So it's kind of the cart before the horse, and I get that. So that's what we're going to do. So I will be sending that out to everybody. And just as soon as they get all this information back, those are going to go up on a drive. You'll all get an invitation to that, and off we go. So I can't wait to get the pictures back. I'm super excited about that. Now, don't forget to post your pictures on the iHospCon Expo page. So we have our International Association page and group, but I did an iHospCon Expo, and it's going to be an ongoing page for all of our conferences. So it's not an annual page. So put all your pictures there. You guys have been taking some wonderful pictures, and I've been able to share those. We have videos and so forth that I still need to sift through. I've downloaded everything, but I haven't seen all the segments. And listen, I don't put pictures up of people that are unflattering. I just want you to know that. So I will screen them out so that you're not going to have some weird angle picture. And, I ask you to do the same. If there's some weird angle that makes somebody look fat or unflattering, don't post that online, please. I know they would appreciate it. I'll appreciate that if there's one of me. I'm sure there's a lot with mouth open, or, some of you guys had angles where you're shooting up from the stage, which, that's not a good angle for most people. Anyway, we had a great time. So with that, I just want to say thank you. If I missed anything, somebody messaged me if I missed recognizing somebody. Still pretty tired. It was 17 months of work. We have less than a year to pull off the next one. So we're like a well-oiled machine now. And, there's some things that happen that we'll take care of logistics wise. So, as far as timing and, I know food, that was a big thing. So, last year we provided food and half the lunches went in the garbage. That was, something we paid for that nobody ate. And so we will either allot enough time for that. And those of you guys watching, the hotel had told me they were going to have sandwich stations, like kiosks, in various areas, not just the Starbucks place. And I know I had that conversation with them. So that didn't happen, and I didn't get it in writing, but I know that's a conversation we had. So I've learned a lot this year about the contracts and agreements and making sure I get every single thing in writing and all the information up front. So it's always a good learning lesson. So next year, so the people don't feel like, they have to, or put off for lunch or whatever it is. Adding lunch from the hotel having them serve it would have added probably $100 to the ticket, which that would have been an issue. So we're looking at getting sponsors to help provide that. And of course, we can wrap a whole theme around the food because it's Nashville. So I'm sure we'll have a lot of, really good barbecue and things like that for meals. I already have the theme for the awards dinner. I already had it in my head before I even got to Charlotte as far as what I would like to see happen. So, the wheels are always turning, and I'm sure a lot of you are like that as well. So anyway, we're just really excited for what's going to come for 2019. And I hope those of you that were not able to join us can talk to somebody who was there. Hot chicken. I don't know what that is. I'll have to ask you what that is on the phone. So Kristie Barnett is typing or writing. Now, Kristie's our guest for today. So Kristie lives in Nashville. And so she and I chatted briefly yesterday doing the tech test. And she was, surprised, I guess excited that we're coming to Nashville. So we're coming to your hometown. Now, Kristie, you don't have a little green camera by your head. So that concerns me. So I don't know if you need to, I don't know if I'll be able to get you on. So we need to, you don't have a green camera, Kristie. So I don't know if you are actually tapped on, you're making comments. So go, you're probably not on your phone yet. So go on your phone, Kristie, and then, excuse me, tap on the thank you, Leslie. Tap on the screen, and then we'll be able to, God, I can't even form sentences. You guys have been so tired. We'll be able to bring you on. Kristie, are you on your cell phone? Yeah, so we could do food stations, Christopher, for sure. And I know we have a lot of sponsors. There's people that wanted to join us that weren't able to come because we literally had no more space. So, Kristie, if she says hot chicken all day, you guys are telling me what hot chicken is. Is that just, it's not chicken that's hot. It must be chicken that's spicy because, oh, okay, you're on your phone. All right, well, do you see at the bottom of your phone, do you see the little white head with the green circle at all? Kristie? So Kristie's our special guest. She is out of Nashville, and she does a psychological staging course, and she's a color expert. And so I thought it'd be fun to talk about psychology of staging as it relates to color and working with our clients and even ourselves. And we did the tech test just perfectly yesterday. So, okay, so what does the answer no say? I'm going to scroll back and say, I'm on the phone screen. Okay, but type in, so you don't see that. Okay, go out and come back in. Leave Facebook on your phone and then come back on the app and then tap on, go to my feed directly and then tap on that. And I'll see if I can, if that doesn't work, I'll see if I can bring you on a different way. So our foundation, again, was just really, people were very generous with, yeah, maybe some non-barbecue items for those who don't care about. You know, Maureen, I'm kind of like you. I don't like sauce slathered on everything. So I will definitely consider that. We'll have things for non-barbecue. It is spicy, so things that are non-spicy as well, because I'm like one granule of pepper on something and I'm like, it's too hot. And I'm such a wimp. So yeah, we'll definitely have a mix. But since we're going to be there, it's going to be really fun. So dust off your boots. We're going to have fun. I already have an idea for the Thursday Expo, you know, somebody we could have there that's, you know, somebody from the industry just in general that could be part of what goes on the dance floor, which would be really fun. And we have been tossing around special guests, our keynote speakers and so forth. That would be really fun to have. So lots of ideas in our head. So if you have any ideas, people that you're connected with in the industry, let us know. Those of you that like to volunteer to help next year, I know some of you already did. So Kristie, I see you with the little thing by your head. Okay, good. Bring Kristie Barnett on camera. Yes. So it's adding you. That worked. So she just had to go out and come back in. So those of you that would like to help, we'd love to have your help. It does take a lot of it doesn't really kick in for a lot of our volunteers until about 2 or 3 weeks prior, when a lot of, you know, plans all kind of come together. There's a lot of groundwork that happens initially with contracts and negotiating and so forth. And then just logistics. And of course, the ticket sales and vendor sponsorship sales. I mean, Krista did a bang up job on that. Lindsay did a great job with marketing, and my daughter, social media. So everybody that helped out really was pleased. So Kristie is trying to add you. So hopefully on your end, you're seeing something. So just about the Wi-Fi connection, hopefully. We had some amazing speakers. So we're looking at bringing ones that haven't been to other events. There you are. There you are.
Hey, finally. It worked.
Here she is with her beautiful hair.
I'm sorry.
I said, turn your computer on.
Oh,
I think you're getting.
It's gone.
Okay, good.
Okay, good.
So there you were with your beautiful hair.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're very sweet.
So I think I'm getting a delay on your end.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a delay. Are you getting a delay?
Yeah.
So are you on your phone? I'm on my phone. The computer's off now.
That's fine. So I'll just talk and then I'll have you talk.
Okay.
So Kristie's going to post where you are and who you are.
Okay. All right. I'm Kristie Barnett. My business is called The Decorologist, and I've been in the home staging industry for about 15 years now. So I have obviously been staging quite a while, and I've written over the years. I've written, done a lot of writing. I have a blog called The Decorologist, and I've been writing that blog for 9.5 years now. So doing lots of writing about staging and design and paint colors and those kinds of things. I've for several years, I wrote for the Tennessean newspaper and did a design column there. And I've written for Everyday Home magazine for a period of time, and for House.com for a while, and just lots of things like that. I wrote a book a few years ago called Psychological Staging. And so over the years, I've kind of developed this system of staging that I call psychological staging, which is based on my background before staging.
So which was
okay. So before I was a stager for a decade, I was in the field of school psychology. So I have a my college degree is in psychology, And then I went on and got a master's in school psychology and then a specialist degree in curriculum and development. So most of my background has to do with, I have a real heavy focus on things like learning and behavior, okay? Mainly in a special ed setting with kids with different kinds of disabilities. And so the focus was on learning, cognitive, cognitive processing, and affecting behavior. So lots and lots of research on specifically visual perception, which I use a lot of that in staging, as well as some of the, emotional, psychological kinds of things with buyers and sellers.
So my side is garbled. And that didn't happen until you came on.
Yeah.
So keep sharing.
Okay. Is it garbled for everybody else too, you think?
Yeah.
I am.
But you're clear.
Okay. Any ideas how I can manage that?
No, it's
Okay.
okay.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So over the years, like I said, I wrote the book and did a lot of writing, lots of staging. I've done vacant and occupied both, but really occupied has been kind of my thing. And I think it's because it's so much more relational. And so that appeals to me more. And I love working with sellers. A lot of people don't, but I do. So, but a lot of that's the psychology that I use, I think, too, kind of comes into play there.
So what are two good tips related to the psychology of sellers?
Okay. So when I'm looking at the psychology of buyers and sellers, it's two totally different things, right? The buyer psychology is based on, visual perception and first impressions and, what kinds of things affect consumer decision making. And that's my focus when I'm working on that side of it. But as you know, when you're doing occupied staging and you're dealing with sellers, it's a whole different thing going on there. And so usually with sellers, I think the main thing is you have got to earn their trust in a really short amount of time, or they're not going to do what you want them to do to prepare for you to come stage, and they're not going to follow through, and they're not going to hire you to stage. So I find that you have to have really good listening skills. You have to be empathetic, incredibly respectful, and incredibly professional. And you have got to win them over in like 5 or 10 minutes, right? When you first go in and do a consultation. And so, I've kind of developed a method to do that. Just rapport building and helping them realize that the reason that we're there is to help them make money and sell their house quickly, and that we're on their side and we're not just trying to get them to spend a lot of money or do a lot of things or hurt their feelings in any way. Because I think a lot of times sellers, they're very nervous when you come in. They can be a little defensive sometimes, but they're also just nervous that you're criticizing their home. I mean, our homes are incredibly important to us. And I think it's just one of those things where you have to help them very quickly understand that you're there to help them. You're not there to criticize them or, make fun of their decorating. That's the last thing we want to do.
Right. I think there are people in the industry
Two words at a time.
that are not trained, and they offend sellers.
Mm-hmm.
So what you
do
is super
important.
Yeah, I think it is. I think a lot of people are not successful in occupied staging for that very reason. Not because they don't do a good job when they actually stage the house, but because they aren't good at establishing the relationship.
Right.
And by the time I'm finished with an occupied, the sellers, we are so bonded. And they are so on my side and so excited about what we've been able to accomplish. Um, they are my number one marketing. You know, they're telling everybody about what I've been able to do for them. And so that's a great way. I mean, you know, word of mouth is huge. You know, we have to do marketing, you know, Facebook and otherwise kinds of marketing, social media marketing. But I've gotten so much, you know, what I learned in occupied staging was if I do a really good job for that person, not only do they refer me to their friends and family, but they also want to hire me to come to their next house and do design work, which I never intended to do in the beginning, but that certainly is where it led. And then also to do their paint colors in the next house because that's kind of a specialty of mine as well. You know, it's something that's developed over the years. But I found that choosing the right paint colors and the right color placement for homes to being staged made such a huge difference, really almost more, I hate to say that, but as much of a difference as actually staging the home itself. So that's been a big interest to me and something I've really, really focused on during the years. And I try to teach that in my course and, you know, have some instructional videos about choosing paint colors. And I actually have a kit that I developed for stagers with on-trend paint colors and how to use them, where not to use them, but more of a curated group. There's only 15 colors in my paint color toolkit. And actually am in the process of updating it right now. So before it had Benjamin Moore colors, and that was from a couple years ago. And now I'm updating the colors and also switching it to Sherwin-Williams. But anyway, so that's been something helpful.
So colors for living versus selling. Talk about the psychology behind some really bright colors versus the more on trend ones.
Okay. So for selling, you know, if somebody is living in their home, they want to inject their personality. So if I do a color consultation with someone who's living in their home and is staying in their home for the next 5 or more years, it's a different process for me. But it kind of starts off the same, but it gets more personalized, of course, to their personality. But for staging, you have to be so much more general. So, you know, I use, again, a lot of research and statistics on colors that appeal to widest audiences. For example, blues and greens are by far the most favored colors of both men and women. And so besides the neutrals, you know, the grays, the beiges, and the grays, those colors are the only ones that I use in staging anymore because it makes such a big difference. I don't use colors that are, you know, statistically frequently disliked. I don't use colors that are controversial or that are, you know, for example, like, okay, I don't know anything about sports, but sports colors, you know, like sports team colors, you have to be careful about those. And oftentimes the darker colors or the brighter, more saturated colors can kind of yeah, I don't know. It bothers. It affects people, especially if they hate a certain ball team. You know, so things like that. What the research shows that women are much more in tune to color than men are. And women really, they're like 91% of the decision making in buying a home. So I want to appeal to her. So women like cooler colors better than warmer colors and lighter colors instead of the darker saturated colors. So that's part of my thinking and my, you know, the different things I've tried. So through that knowledge and then my experience over the last 12, 15 years doing the colors, that's kind of why I am where I am and having a very limited amount of colors that I use for staging.
I remember you talking about purple.
Mm-hmm.
So share about them.
Okay. So purple, you know, the last couple years, lavender and purple have both been trending, right? But you have to take that stuff, the colors of the year and the hottest trends with a grain of salt when it comes to staging. because for one thing, it takes several years for that to really trickle down to the normal consumer. And just because it's the hot color at high market doesn't mean that's going to translate to most homeowners. So that's one thing. The other thing is you have to realize that those colors of the year, that is a brilliant marketing ploy by paint companies. And the people who choose those colors are marketers. They're not designers. They're not taking polls as to what people like. They are just trying to push out something new so that you're going to change your wall color. So you'll buy more paint, right? So I do pay attention to those things. But so you're talking about purple. So lavender purple has been trending, but I don't use that in staging at all. And I'll tell you why. It is actually in the top 3. If like women, their favorite is blue, and then green is number 2, and purple is number 3. But guess what? For men, it's one of the top hated colors. So it really turns guys off. So I'm just not going to use it. It's not worth it. Some women like it, but some women hate it. So it's controversial as far as I'm concerned. And so I don't use it for staging.
And that goes back to the psychology of color and how it impacts us when we walk into a room.
Yes. Okay. So first impressions are everything, right? So when you first take in visual information, and we hold color in our memory more than any other kind of data that we take in, okay? So when you take in that information, it is a visceral thing, meaning you feel it in here or in your gut before you even really think about it. So you're already like forming an opinion about whether you like it or you dislike it. And so it's so important that that first impression is positive, and that the color even that you see when you walk in the door is something that's going to be favored, okay? So, so by realizing that, the other thing that color does is it guides your eye, and we read a room like we read a book from left to right. Okay, so you scan it from left to right automatically when you walk in a room. So I pay attention when I walk into a house. What is the color I see to the left, and how many color changes does it have as you go across the space? So say you have a dining room and an entry and a parlor, or however the house is set up, and your eye changes, the colors change across the way. It makes the room feel smaller and more segmented, or the space, all the spaces. And so for me, one of my number 1 goals is to make the rooms look as large as possible, right? Because square footage is everything, especially to men. So I want that color to flow all the way across and be the same color upon entry, because it's more soothing, and it also makes the space appear larger. Now that doesn't mean that I use the same color though throughout the whole house, because color is so important to memory. People won't remember all the different spaces and the different rooms later when they go home and review the houses they've seen that day, if there's not some variation in color. And it also makes it feel more like a designed, finished home instead of builder beige, boring, bland. So
you might go with something like a soft gray in the entry areas, and then shift to like a eucalyptus or soft blue, not baby blue,
right,
into the bedroom.
Absolutely. Mostly in bedrooms, I used grayed down blues, or sometimes grayed down greens, like in additional bedrooms or a den or something like that. But I do try to have, for staging, it's usually 3 to 4 colors total. And that's going to include, you know, like if some trim needs to be redone, there's I have a favorite white that goes with all the other colors. Or like a charcoal, a really good charcoal that you might want to update, like a kitchen island, or shabby looking oak cabinetry in a bathroom. Painting it a soft black or a dark charcoal will update it and make it look more expensive. But no more than 4 or 5 colors in the entire house for staging for sure.
Talk about
the ceilings.
Yeah. Okay, I love ceilings. And I do a lot of that in my typical color consultations. I do less of it in staging, but sometimes if you use it very judiciously, you can really make an impact that will make the space look more high end. So for example, dining rooms, it's a really good place to do that. So say, like you said, you walk into a house, so you do a light gray all the way across from the dining room, the entry, the parlor, but you want to set the dining room apart and it have a slightly different personality than the other two spaces. You can put in a dark, moody color on the ceiling, like a charcoal, or a really dark grayed down blue can be beautiful. And it really, it actually makes the ceiling recede. So even in like an 8-foot room with an 8-foot ceiling, it actually makes the room appear taller as long as the wall color is fairly light. So I do that and people love it. It's fabulous. It's a beautiful effect.
So Yolanda is asking about red.
Oh, no. Okay, you may love red. I get it. A lot of ladies like red. However, I do not use red in staging. I did in the beginning, and I found that it photographs very poorly. If you've ever tried to photograph a room with a lot of red accessories, they pop, and it's such a saturated, contrasting color that it's really difficult to adjust settings for it to look right on film, and I mean on your camera, in photos. So it draws too much attention to things like pillows. Like, you're selling the house, you're selling the architecture, you're not selling the decor. So sometimes those kind of colors can distract people. You want it to draw your eye, but not like be the focus of what you see in the photo. I don't want to see that red pillow. That's not what I want. I want people to look at the architecture. I want them to notice the fireplace or the built-in bookcases or, the crown molding. And red is distracting. It's just too much.
Can you read
What?
Can you see what Kevin?
I cannot see any comments.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't know. Weird. Let me see if I can do something here to. I don't know.
He said he shared that exactly from a stage and listen up people. Kristie knows what she's talking about.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. You are so sweet. Thank you.
So we have the psychology of dealing with sellers, where we can be a bulldog. We need to be sensitive.
Yeah.
And then there's the psychology of color.
Mm-hmm.
And what we use for staging. Let's talk about the psychology of ourselves and how we may need to adjust how we are to relate to our client.
Okay. So if I understand your question, you're asking like how your personal taste, maybe how you deal with that?
Not your taste. Your temperament. So somebody who is super strong
Mm-hmm.
may need to soften.
Yeah.
To work with
Yeah.
a client.
So this is interesting because in my course, the course that I teach here in Nashville, what I found was there were certain people who would take the course and their personalities, by the end of the course, I could pretty much figure out whether or not they were going to be a vacant stager primarily or an occupied stager primarily. So I started like thinking this through, and again, I'm thinking all the psychology involved, and I put together a kind of a staging personality test, where and I don't tell them what I'm doing the test for. So they don't know it's about vacant and occupied, but it's like a personality thing where I'm asking questions about, you know, how they relate to people, if they prefer to work on their own, to make their own decisions on their own, do they like to work on a team, all these kinds of things. And what I have found is it's real clear in terms of personality, typically, who really needs to go one way or the other, because unless they really want to change, some of those, like you said, tone it down, learn some skills. And I think the main one is the empathy that I mentioned earlier, and respect. So when I go in and I meet a new client, the first thing I do is I talk to them about how I'm there to help them, and that this isn't about their decorating at all. This is a marketing. This is a marketing strategy that I'm going to help them with, and that you know, I'm there to meet certain staging goals, and then I tell them what my goals are. So, for example, you know, 2 of my top goals is I want to make the rooms appear larger, and I want to make I want the staging to attract attention to the architecture of your house, not the decor. So whenever there's something that I need them to take out, or help them understand that we can't use their curtains, or, you know, with all the jabots and the festoons and all that, I don't tell them they need to get rid of that because I don't like it or it's not going to appeal to a buyer. What I say is, we need to remove these because we want to let in as much natural light as possible, because it makes the rooms appear larger, and that's our goal. So everything I tell them to do, I back it up with, it's to meet this certain goal. It's not because I don't like your decorating. It's not because what you've done isn't beautiful. But again, we're meeting certain marketing strategy goals. So that's been very helpful, because they don't take it so personally. And then also I make sure that when I'm touring the home, I'm finding something to compliment or to talk about or find some common interest. I love I'm all into antiques. My home would need some major staging, because it's very, very personalized. Everything in my home is vintage. And so, you know, I'll talk to them about their antiques, or, you know, something to let them know I'm interested, that I like what they have, but then shift it into, we've got some goals here that we have to meet because it's marketing. And this is why I'm telling you, you're going to have to remove this antique piece of furniture. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
And so those of you
watching,
when you
when you
work with
work with people,
we do
we
need
do
to
need to
adjust
adjust
how
how
we deliver.
we deliver.
It's just,
It's just
this is so hard.
it's so hard.
I'm sorry.
We
Usually talk
100
more.
I don't know what's going on. I'm so sorry.
All right.
All right. Anything else?
I don't know if you can even hear me clearly. Okay. Anything else? Let me think. Furniture arrangement is a big deal, I think, for me in staging. Too, I see a lot of stagers make a lot of the same mistakes that make rooms look smaller, you know? And so again, with the focus being on how can we make every room appear larger, one of the things we don't want to do is to put furniture on an angle for no good reason. I see that so much, and the angles eat up the square footage. Unless there's a reason, like if you have a fireplace on an angle, that's another issue in terms of furniture arrangement. You may have to balance the furniture on an angle because of that angled fireplace. But if there aren't any angles in the walls or angles in the room, you really shouldn't be putting the furniture on an angle randomly, especially if it's a big piece like a sofa or a bed in a corner. That all it does is make the room feel smaller because so much of the square footage is cut off. So again, I mean, I'm very logical in how I arrange things. I want everything to draw attention to the architecture. So I'm real big about focal points and how you draw attention to the focal points with the way you arrange your furniture. So again, I don't know. I just think we can get really caught up in the decor and the furniture itself. And, you know, it's great to have beautiful furniture, but not everyone has beautiful furniture and they still need to sell their house. So, you know, you may not be bringing everything in. And if you're not, you've got to find a way to take the attention off of the furnishings and put it on the house itself, which is what you're trying to sell.
All right.
All right.
So our time is
So
up.
our time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kristie.
Thank you, Jenny. I enjoyed it. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Okay. See you